Oh, gosh. Is this going to be a great conversation? Because I love this man. I have nothing but love for this man. I spend more time with this man between the months of March and September than I care to admit. But I love him. I've known him for damn near 30 years. He is the voice of the New York Yankees and the host of the Michael Kay Show. And joining us right now, I believe from Toronto, Ontario, is Michael Kay. How you doing, Michael? What's going on, man?
Great, Rich. How you doing? I am in Toronto, by the way.
Okay, very good. Watching the Yankees playing out the string. God bless you. What a professional. And I want to get to the Yankees in a second. Michael, if I had told the young kid, you grew up in what part of New York City did you grow up in, Michael, the area? What you grew up?
Bronx.
Okay, the Bronx, right. If I told that kid from the Bronx that one day you'd have a show with your name on it where Joe Namath would be broken by Zach Wilson and let the entire country know about it, what would you have said, that kid in the Bronx, Michael? What would I told you?
I dreamed about having a talk show, so I would probably say, yeah, really? But, the dream at 9 was to be the Yankee announcer, but
yes.
The talk show came about, and Joe Namath certainly made some news yesterday.
Oh, my gosh. Zach Wilson has broken Joe Namath, Michael. There's no question about that. He basically called his play disgusting and said the best thing about him would be he'd send him to be the backup to Mahomes, is what he said.
Yeah. The interesting thing, Rich, is that he tweets, or I don't know what to call it on X. He X's.
Yes.
And I was looking at it during the rain delay on Sunday after the Jet game, and I could see that his comments were really pointed. So between innings, after the game resumed, I just texted my producer. I said, let's try to get Joe on. And I think he really wanted to come on. Usually you have to go through his people,
yep.
But he also volunteered to be on Zoom, which, usually don't do. So that gave us the video portion for the S Network. And then Don and I didn't have to do much heavy lifting there, Rich. We just asked one question and he went off. He was not happy with Zach Wilson.
Yeah, I know. And, your questions that elicited it were what you try to be positive, like what was positive, and you said nothing. And then you said, what would you do if you had him in your I guess, mentorship? And he's like, he was uninterested in being a mentor to Zach Wilson, Michael.
Yeah. You know what's amazing? Here's so many things came out of that interview, Rich, but the thing that really got me.
Yes.
When Joe Namath said he has never met Zach Wilson. And to me, that's on the Jets. I mean, this is your most famous alum, period. End of sentence. Every quarterback that puts on a Jet uniform should at least meet Joe Namath and have some words. Not to talk about X's and O's, but just to talk about being a quarterback in New York and how you handle it. He has never met the guy. I don't get it. That's malfeasance on the Jets' part. And maybe that led to Joe being as upset as he was. How dare the Jets not make Zach Wilson and Joe Namath meet? It doesn't make sense.
Well, I mean, I'm just want to do as much as I possibly can deep down, Michael, on giving the Jets a pass because they at least realized what had happened last year and moved as much heaven and earth as they possibly can to make sure that Zach was either on a path to be redeemed while he could sit and watch from somebody who can teach it and show it, or never play for the Jets again while still being on the roster. And they made every possible move to make that happen. And then Rodgers goes and gets his Achilles blown out just 4 snaps in. And I'm just wondering if the fan base that you talk to every day is just sleepwalking right now, like zombies like that. Right now, Michael?
They're kind of in a haze, but I will tell you this, and I said this in the summer, Rich, so it's not second guessing.
Yes, sir.
There's no way in 2023 that Zach Wilson was going to be the starting quarterback for the Jets. No way. Even if they didn't get Aaron Rodgers, they would have brought in another quarterback to be the starting quarterback.
Yes.
That being said, you get Aaron Rodgers, which I totally approve of that move, and I'm sure that you did too. He's 39 years old. How did the Jet organization think that it was a good idea to have Zach Wilson backing him up? 1 heartbeat away from being the starter, 4 snaps away from being the starter, and you're right back to where you were. Why was there not an established veteran quarterback behind him so you don't completely blow the season away? By moving Zach Wilson in there, you have given up on the season. I'm sorry. You have. He would not have been the quarterback if Rodgers wasn't there. He should have been the 3rd string quarterback where he could have learned from Aaron Rodgers. He never should have been the backup.
So, Michael Kay joining us here from Toronto, Ontario, where the Yankees are beginning to play out the string, and we'll talk about the Yanks in a second and what Aaron Judge said recently about, giving his 2 cents on what happens moving forward. Aaron Rodgers was on your colleague at ESPN and our friend Pat McAfee's show in his usual Tuesday spot. And he was asked about the situation with Zach at present in New York. I don't know if you heard this. I have not heard it, but I have read it. This is what he had to say, and I'd love to get your comments on the other side, Michael.
This is what teams have to go through. There's adversity points in every season. This year it's happening early, and people are coming for us. And there's, some heated conversations on the sideline and different things. I think we need to hold our poise a little bit better. It sucks not being there. It's tough. It's really hard. I miss the guys. I missed the leadership opportunity, missed balling, competing. Feel like, if I was there, some of those, things wouldn't be happening. Not sure we'd be 3-0. I don't know that. I'd like to think there's a possibility of that, but it's more the side stuff that I don't like, and that I want to see us stick together through the tough times. I said it to him, in preseason. Our toughest task is being handling success, and that's whether we're having success or not having success. It doesn't mean you're winning all the time and you got to handle it the right way. It's when we're not having success, how do we respond? How do we respond in adversity? And that goes for our fan base and former players as well. You're not helping the cause. You're not helping the cause.
Michael?
Is that a shot at Joe?
There's no question. There's no doubt. And I even said that at the end of the first hour. Will he have when he's on Pat's show? I didn't even know, because he's been on Fridays. I didn't even know if it was today. Will he take a shot at Joe Namath? And everything he said up until that point, I totally was there for. But hey, man, while he was, winning in Green Bay and all of that stuff, I mean, there's a lot of scars here that we were hoping that his play would heal. But I think that was a shot at Namath and telling the fans to RELAX in a way,
Well, first of all, I've heard from people, Rich, I'm not sure, but I think you're a Jet fan.
Yeah.
So Joe Namath, I'm sorry, he has carte blanche. He could say what he wants when he wants to say it. He is the king of New York Jet history. And if he has a pointed comment like that, he can make it. He doesn't have to be a cheerleader. He doesn't work for the Jets. People that work for the Jets, it's a different story. And Aaron Rodgers hasn't been here his entire career. He doesn't know what Jet fans have gone through. He doesn't know the angst that they've gone through. And there are going to be shots fired. Sorry, there are. And I think Jet fans are most disappointed, not so much in Zach Wilson, but that Zach Wilson has been put into this situation. So I think that goes to the top of the ladder for the Jets. Joe Douglas, who has assembled a really, really, really good roster, has essentially put a child in the seat of a Maserati. Doesn't make sense. Just doesn't make sense. You've got to back up your 39-year-old quarterback with somebody with more experience. And I'm sorry, Zach Wilson has proven for 3 years now he is not that guy. The wrong guy to be taking shots at is Joe Namath. I'm sorry.
Michael Kay here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's talk about Aaron Judge saying what he said this week about how he will be vocal in the non-playing season about what the Yankees should do. He's got a lot of thoughts. Do you have any bullet points that you think he would be forwarding, and to whom will he forward it, Michael?
Well, first of all, a lot of people rolled their eyes. Well, what do you mean he has thoughts? He's not management. Rich, when you sign a 9-year, $360 million contract, you're essentially Hal Steinbrenner and the Steinbrenner family's partner for the next 9 years.
Damn straight.
I think that Aaron Boone had a great answer to it yesterday. He said, of course, Judge and Cole are going to be consulted on everything. They know what's going on in that room. They know what's wrong. They know what has to be fixed. And I think players know better than anybody, Rich, better than media, probably better than coaches, because they know what each and every guy is thinking. And I have utmost respect and faith in Aaron Judge. And I think if he has things that he thinks have to be fixed, then you know what? You go to Hal Steinbrenner, you go to Brian Cashman, and you try to get those things fixed. Doesn't mean that everything that he says is going to be done, because I found over the years sometimes players are the worst GMs. But maybe it's beyond that. Maybe it's culture. Maybe it's the way the analytics are handled and passed down to the players. Maybe it's just the process that he doesn't like. I don't think he's going to play GM, say get rid of this guy, get rid of that guy. But if there's a guy that is impeding the positive culture that should be in that room, he should make it known to Cashman, and he should make it known to Steinbrenner. So I thought that was a pretty smart thing for him to do because he's an important player for the Yankees. He's the most important player.
And I'm fully that's why I'm on kind of pins and needles about what he thinks needs to be fixed. I would love to be a fly on that wall, but you do think that if he says it to Cashman, he's going to be saying it to the general manager of the Yankees? You think Brian's going to be around after this season?
I'm sorry. I know a lot of Yankee fans get angry at me on the show every day. I don't think there's going to be any major front-facing changes. I think Brian Cashman's going to be there, and I think Aaron Boone is going to be there. And I thought that Boone had a chance that they would scapegoat him. But, Rich, since that Miami loss, where he's almost been resigned that it was over, I've never seen him so tranquil. And this is a guy who has a fire burning in his belly. And he has been very tranquil. And I asked him that question yesterday. And I said, when you were driving to Yankee Stadium today, did you ever give it any thought that this could be the last time you drive there as manager of the Yankees? And he said, no, never. Now, unless you're completely, in la-la land, how could you not give thought that this could be the end of your job when the team's not going to make the playoffs and might finish last or might finish under 500? So the fact that he never gave it a thought, that tells me he's been told he's coming back. I think if there's changes, it might be to the medical group. It might be to the science group. They might rejigger the analytics, stuff like that, maybe player development. But in terms of the front-facing people, Cashman and Boone, I think they're coming back. That doesn't mean that they're going to run it back with the players, but I think those guys are going to be the guys that will be handling it in 2024.
So I guess that's just to circle back, the bullet points of what Judge might be talking about. Is it in the locker room the way whatever Cashman and his analytics group is giving to Boone is giving to the guys? Any scuttlebutt that you can pass along from what you hear following the team all year long, what Judge might be referring to?
No, I really don't. I mean, he really plays it close to the vest. He's always accepted. He's a lot like Jeter that way, but he really doesn't tell you what's in his soul. And he's not one of those guys, Rich, that, off the record, this is what's happening. He doesn't play that game. Anything he says is pretty much on the record. So I'm not sure what it is, but I'm sure that the way the analytics are handed down and the things that they stress, I think that has something to do with it, because when they got rid of Dylan Lawson, the hitting coach, and they brought in an old school guy like Sean Casey, and then they bring in Andy Pettit as a consultant, that tells me they're trying to dial it back just a little and maybe look into the stomach of a player rather than just, well, this is what he does 40% of the time. That's the thing that I have always felt was the flaw in analytics, Rich. You can't the thing that frustrates the analytic guys is that you cannot, under any circumstance, quantify guts and clutch. They don't believe in clutch because they can't put a number on it. I believe in clutch. Players that I work with, like Paul O'Neill and A-Rod on K-Rod, they believe in clutch. They believe in hot. They believe in cold. But analytics guys don't. Yeah.
I mean, if O'Neill believed in analytics, he wouldn't have gotten so upset at Kramer for promising 2 home runs, right, Michael? Back in the day.
Yeah, you know how hard that is to do?
I heard that. I heard that line before. All right, Michael. It's great to see you, man. It's great to see you. Enjoy the last couple days of another Yankee season. And it was great to see you and Joe Namath. I mean, that was... I just said to myself, this is a guy who cheerleaded Ray Lucas, and this is the kid that's finally broken him. It's, and I can't believe we're in this position. So I guess the last one for you is, how do you think your fans, when you speak to them on your show, are going to handle being told that they're not helping the cause from Aaron Rodgers, Michael?
Last week the big point on talk shows in New York, back Zach, don't boo him.
Right.
It's not the fan job, and they want to cheer him. Buck Showalter once told me that. He said the misconception about New Yorkers, they want to boo. No, they want to cheer. Mm-hmm. And if you don't give them something to cheer, they're going to boo. I don't think you just boo like a fool if the guy's not playing well. He gave you nothing to cheer for. So it's not the fans' job to buoy the psyche of players. It's the players' job to play better.
Michael, you're the man. And my son Coop sends his best. Seriously, we spend like you could babysit. You should charge Susie and I for babysitting, Michael. Be honest.
I do want to know one thing, though, Rich.
Uh-huh.
You said at the beginning of the interview that the Yankees are playing out the string. Will you and your son be watching these 6 games?
Absolutely. We absolutely will. Seriously, Michael, you have no idea when my son isn't, looking at cars or whatever, because he's a car freak too. He's always on the MLB app and he's always watching the Yankees. And he can't get enough of it. He just cannot get enough of the sport. So
He raised them well.
you know what? We're trying our best right here. Michael, you're the best. Thanks again for the call. Enjoy the broadcast. You be well. That's Michael. You bet. That's Michael K. joining us from the Yes Network production truck. Yeoman's work for zooming in here. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.